The rain poured down mercilessly as I stood outside my parents' house, my suitcase in one hand, my phone in the other. My heart pounded against my ribs. I had just left the man I once thought was my soulmate. My fingers trembled as I knocked on the door, fearing what awaited me on the other side. Would they welcome me back? Would they tell me, "We told you so"? My mind reeled with regret. How had I ended up here? How had my fairy tale turned into a nightmare? I met Ethan 5 years ago, and in the beginning, he was everything I had ever dreamed of. Charming, intelligent, and irresistibly kind. Our love story seemed perfect, like the ones you see in movies. He would surprise me with flowers, write me sweet notes, and always make me feel like the most special woman in the world. I was convinced that marrying him was the best decision of my life. But love has a way of blinding us. What I failed to see were the tiny red flags, the warning signs that whispered for me to take a step back. It all began with small things. Ethan would get irritated if I spent too much time with my friends. "Why do you need them when you have me?" he would ask, with a smile that seemed sweet, but carried a weight I didn't recognize then. I brushed it off, thinking it was just his way of expressing love. But as days turned into months, his possessiveness grew. He started checking my phone, questioning my every move, making me feel guilty for wanting a life outside our marriage. Slowly, the love that once warmed my heart turned into a suffocating chain. Ethan became unpredictable. One moment, he would be loving and tender. The next, he would be cold and distant. I tried to please him, tried to make our marriage work, convincing myself that things would get better. But they never did. Then came the worst days. The verbal insults, the accusations, the silent treatment that lasted for days. I felt like a prisoner in my own home, walking on eggshells, afraid to say the wrong thing, afraid to breathe wrong. I could see myself fading, my laughter, my joy, my dreams, all disappearing into a darkness that wasn't mine to carry. I still remember the night I hit rock bottom. It was our anniversary, and I had prepared a beautiful dinner, hoping to rekindle the love we once shared. But Ethan came home late, reeking of alcohol and indifference. He barely looked at me before dismissing my efforts with a cruel chuckle. "Why do you even try?" he scoffed before walking past me. That was the moment I realized I was in love with a ghost, a man who no longer existed, or maybe never did. I had given up so much of myself trying to save something that was already lost. And that night, I made a decision. I had to leave before I lost myself completely. The next morning, I packed my bags and left. I didn't leave a note. I didn't cry. I just walked away, feeling a mix of fear and liberation. Leaving Ethan was just the beginning of my journey. At first, every step I took felt wrong, as if I were betraying the vows I had promised to keep. I wondered if I had imagined it all, if I was the problem, if I had not tried hard enough. The echoes of his voice lingered in my mind. His accusations, his cold words, his gaslighting that had made me question my reality. For weeks, I struggled with the emptiness. I found myself reaching for my phone, wanting to message him, wanting to go back to the familiar, even if that familiarity was painful. But then I would remember the way my body tensed whenever I was around him, how I had become a shadow of myself. I started reconnecting with my old friends. They welcomed me back with open arms, though I could see the sadness in their eyes. "We missed you, Emma," they would say, and I realized just how much of myself I had lost in that marriage. I threw myself into work, into rediscovering hobbies I had long abandoned. I started taking long walks, journaling my emotions, trying to untangle the knots of my past. Therapy became my safe haven, a place where I could finally admit that I had been in an emotionally abusive relationship. Months passed, and with time, the regret began to fade. It was replaced with a newfound strength, a realization that leaving Ethan was the best thing I had ever done for myself. The pain was still there, but now it served as a reminder of what I had survived, of how much I had grown. One evening, as I sat in a quiet cafe, sipping coffee, I caught my reflection in the window. For the first time, I saw a woman who was free, a woman who had fought to reclaim her life. And in that moment, I knew I had made the right choice. The pain of regret still lingered, but with it came a newfound strength. I had learned the hardest lesson of my life. Love should never make you feel small, unwanted, or invisible. And though I regretted marrying Ethan, I did not regret finding the courage to walk away. Sometimes the most painful choices lead us to the most beautiful new beginnings. And this time, I was choosing myself.